All right, let's start with the big story that we're tracking on WION at this hour, where a fresh round of protests are underway, even as we speak, on the streets in Hong Kong. Now, this is the protest march that is taking place in the city since the protest that took place just last Monday. Now, the demonstrators in Hong Kong are marching from the Salisbury Gardens till a fast train station that connects Hong Kong with mainland China. Now, the march ends up at the West Kowloon station, which is being connected to mainland China by a high-speed railways. And protesters have said that their main aim was to try and send a message to Beijing in terms of what's been happening in Hong Kong in the aftermath of the extradition bill that has now been suspended. Now, the development of the West Kowloon station has, of course, stirred a controversy since its opening in September last year. Passengers need to go through Chinese immigration and customs inside the station, and this has been termed as a violation of basic law giving rights to Hong Kong to retain its own legal system and civil liberties under the one country, two systems framework. Now, for nearly about 3 weeks now, the tensions in Hong Kong have been on the rise. Protesters have been demanding for a complete withdrawal of the now suspended extradition bill, which would have allowed a resident of Hong Kong to be deported to mainland China to be tried under the Chinese law in a Chinese court. But the largely peaceful protests had turned violent on the 1st of July, when the protesters had broken into the territory's legislative council. So these are live visuals that we are getting from Hong Kong, where thousands upon thousands of protesters have again taken to the streets. At this point of time, though, it is not very clear as to what exactly is their demand, because so far the protesters' demands were pretty concrete. They wanted the extradition bill to be scrapped. They wanted Carrie Lam, the chief executive, to step down, and they were partially successful in getting some of their demands to be met by the administration in Hong Kong. But this time round, the entire reason for this protest is said to be to send a message to Beijing that Hong Kong would not give up on its autonomy. Now, there are initial estimates that suggest that there are well over 100,000 people who have gathered as a part of these protests, although the protesters say that the numbers could actually go up even further. And also, I earlier spoke with Bruce Harrison, who's presently in Hong Kong and is tracking all the developments for us, and this is what he had to say about today's protest.
You can hear right now they've just started chanting quite loudly here at Salisbury Garden on the water of Victoria Harbour. I was speaking with some of the demonstrators who have met here, and they are just shortly beginning their march north up to West Kowloon Station. And a lot of them told me, yes, they want to get a message across to the Chinese mainland. And this area in particular was chosen for that because a lot of the mainlanders come here to shop and enjoy the nightlife. There's an express train that runs to this part of the city as well as other border crosses. But as I was saying, some of the people I spoke to told me even though they don't believe it's possible to sway Beijing, or by trying to reach the mainland and the people there, put pressure on Beijing to hear their plight. They feel they still have no other choice. They're taking different kinds of action as the weeks progress. This time, it's trying to send a message across this land border to the mainland Chinese.